everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ice Cream Parlor, the podcast.
I'm Heidi, and that's Stefan. Together, we will be
weaving
through the movie this week.
Weaving through?
Weaving through it.
Weaving through it. I
try to tie it into the movie.
I get it.
Didn't do a great job.
I get it.
But there was a try in there.
I see.
This week's movie is Braid from 2018.
Right. Was it 2018? I guess. I didn't do my research. Braid. So
please.
We just stumbled across this movie yesterday.
Yeah, last night. So last night we were in a mood to just blah, you know?
Yeah, and we were just browsing through different movies, trying to find
2018.
All right, there you go. Browsing through different movies, trying to find something different to watch. You were sort of just messing around on your phone, and I was like, hey, look at this one. Maybe this might be interesting.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is one of those movies that we watched without having watched the trailer, having any information on it. We just turned it on because it was, on Prime?
Yeah, it might have been. I don't think it was
on Shudder.
I don't know. I went to Prime, and then I went to like Free to Me, so I don't know where it was. I don't know where it was.
But it was pretty cool in that it was kind of like just falling, like little happy accidents, like the cake I baked yesterday.
What happened with the cake you baked yesterday?
So today's Gourmet's birthday, so I baked her a rainbow cake, like vanilla cake with a cream custard frosting in between layers or different rainbow colors.
Right.
And it tastes delicious.
Yeah, I've yet to have a piece, so
it's
I'll have to taste it after.
Fuck. Like, it's so ugly because you would think equal amounts of red and equal amounts of blue would make purple, right? You would think it makes purple.
Well, yeah.
You learned that in kindergarten.
When it comes to crayons, maybe.
Equal amounts of red and equal amounts of blue food coloring equal cement gray.
Well, you're being a little hard on yourself because I'm pretty sure that all of the taste testers said that it tasted great and it didn't look half bad.
It didn't look half good either.
Well, I think you covered up your mistake with some white frosting, and who cares? Like, the intention was
cheating,
still there.
Though. It was a cake I made from scratch, but it was cheating because I used like an emergency frosting we had in the pantry.
Yeah, you've just you're being too hard on yourself. That's all I'm telling you. You're doing a great job. If you would have cooked 10 cakes that way and they all came out the same, then I would say, all right,
it was my first time making it.
Yeah. So, but baking is your new hobby, right?
Baking is my new hobby because it makes me feel sane. Because more often than not, my bakes come out pretty good.
Yeah. So this was
like the first time that I kind of fucked up on one, and it was just because fucking purple. And
well,
generally, I mean, they always taste good, but this was my first fuck up one. And when I made your birthday cake from scratch, it was divine.
Yeah.
Like, I do a good job with them. Just this one was, the thing is, I don't have all the tools people usually have when they're icing and frosting and stuff. I just have, I don't even have a hand mixer. I sure as hell don't have a KitchenAid.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things take a little bit more time and whatever. But
well, desserts are harder than just meals per se. So,
I'm pretty good with meals. I mean,
right. Yeah. So I wouldn't beat yourself up over it. I think you did a good job. Again, you're trying so many new things, and that's great. This pandemic has brought a new skill to your repertoire, something else you could put on your resume,
So far for my updated resume during the quarantine, it's bass, right?
Yep.
I'm a bassist now.
Bass in your face.
Wait, damn it, I messed it up. Bassist, front-end developer, seamstress, pattern maker.
Oh, wow.
And
lots of new skills.
Baker and avid TV watcher.
That was strange. What happened there?
Did you pick it up?
No, I didn't. Okay. Well, that was strange.
Did it die?
I plugged it into, Jesus Christ, that is hot, hot, hot. So for all you audio listeners out there, because we're going to just leave this in, my light just went off, and it's a new light we got, one of those ring lights. It's a USB. I plugged it into the Apple phone box, whatever you want to call it, and it seemed to be working fine, and now it's shut off. So let's try this. Go ahead and plug that into the back of that laptop. Don't burn yourself. And let's see if that turns back on again. We're leaving this in here, by the way.
Are we?
Yes, we are.
I have to go to mechanically. Send.
All right. When you get back up, there's the...
Ugh! These are old people noises. Fear not. I'm fine.
Down by your feet.
Just old. Okay, let's see.
No?
Oh, wait. On.
Boom, there you go. That might be...
I pressed all the buttons except for on.
Turn it down
I can't see.
Here, I'll do it.
I can't reach. We're having technical difficulties.
All right, well, it's probably fine, but if you can, just push the minus and make it a little bit dimmer. It's like bright, bright, bright in my eyes.
These are 37-year-old eyes.
All right, that's fine. Just leave it.
That one?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Click it down a few more times, maybe. Okay, there. That's good. I
got down.
All right.
Okay. Now.
So we learned something new. This is probably a directly to USB, or we might need a different type of box. Whatever, that iPhone box seemed to have shut this thing off due to overheating. Interesting.
To be fair, it's the light that we're using for my baking channel.
Well, it's these new ring lights.
I have a baking channel.
Oh, yeah, right? Heidi gets baked or something like that?
Oh, get baked with Heidi.
Get baked with Heidi? Okay.
Yeah.
You need to have some sort of 420 weed element in there.
Well, I was planning on having... Okay, so here is the format. Get baked with Heidi. I do the baking.
Yeah.
You get baked.
Okay.
And we discuss... I can teach you about serial killers.
Well, there you go. We've got a new channel opening up and a brand new... I don't know what is it, probably not podcast, but more of like a video blog baking channel.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So you'll see it.
I'll get baked. She's gonna bake, and we'll
discuss
serial killers. All right.
So check it out. It's Get Baked with Heidi.
All right. Cool. Awesome.
We're not going to do the rainbow cake. I fucked up. But we probably will do the strawberry short. No, what is the berry shortcake that I made tonight? You like that, right?
Yeah, that was actually really delicious. I think that that one also came out amazing. We just need to fine tweak some of the elements, although it was really hot in here. So
I made the whipped cream by hand.
Yep.
And I tried to use your hands because men have more use of certain muscles in the wrist, but it was just too hard. Phrasing. Boom. But like, you got to really have momentum. But so I think for my birthday, I decided what I want.
What'd you want?
I want either a hand mixer or a KitchenAid thing.
When you say a hand mixer, is that
a hand mixer? Like they're the ones that
the one that you hold in your hand with the little we used to call them egg beaters or something like that.
Yeah. Like that's what I want for my birthday.
Yeah. All right, I got you. The kind that you click off the two little things and you can.
But don't buy me one.
Okay. Sure, no problem.
No, seriously, don't buy me one.
Why? Because you already got one coming?
No, because Gormley says she thinks she has one, and she doesn't cook or bake or anything like that. So.
Oh, well, gotcha.
So yeah. Anyway,
that's right. Your birthday's coming up around the corner.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Got to think of something.
It's
something to get you.
I don't know. It's like far away. It's like 3 weeks.
That's not far. 3 weeks in 2020. Look at where we're at already.
September.
Almost. Yeah.
Holy shit! So we started in April. Well, March, right? Kids have been indoors since March.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going crazy.
I mean, I started baking. I don't even like desserts.
Yeah. What are you drinking over there?
I am drinking Café Cubano.
Café Cubano sounds very Miami.
Well, so when we went to Miami, I got hooked on it. But it's the guy who made it on the street for us. like made it from Pilon, which is the coffee. And I can't find it in LA.
Yeah.
And I tried La Llave, which is a decent.
I wonder why, though. I mean, is it just?
I think it's just because it's like regional,
southern,
maybe.
Florida. Yeah.
I don't know, but I posted on Instagram at @_mighty_Heidi, and I posted on Instagram like my little espresso thing bubbling up, and I'm like, it's my favorite part. I just can't find the coffee. And Jenna sent me 6 packs of, who lives in Miami, sent 6 packs of Pilon coffee, some crackers, some panes, drawings, and these little cups.
Nice.
This one's full of lipstick right now, currently. So, but they're so cute, and that's what I'm drinking.
Cool.
So I want to stay awake.
I gotcha. Yeah, we're back to podcasting at night. By the way, that one episode where we were like podcasting in the daytime was just a little mishap, maybe.
And also, it was really hot.
Well, yeah, it's very hot. Hopefully, it's going to cool down within the next week or so. But it has been pretty hot. Yeah, the kids are back in school now, so they're like going to sleep at a decent hour. Meaning, are they?
Well, I mean, it's 11 o'clock,
midnight.
So they'll go to sleep soon. Not my kids. My kids are good. But kids are going back to school. My kids start school on Monday.
Yeah,
which means that they're just going to be at home because it's distance learning.
Right.
It's a little weird, a little bit.
What is
the registration and scheduling the Zoom calls, and they're doing a block scheduling. So I had to create calendars, and it was just fun because I got something to do. But it's gonna be interesting for sure.
All right. Well, interested to hear your next update on that. So yeah, Braid.
Okay, you don't have anything?
I don't know. I mean, like, not really.
Check out his album.
Yeah.
The website is dti.band. You can also stream it on iTunes or Apple Music,
all of them,
Spotify, really anywhere. The album is called Defy the Ignorant, and it is fucking badass.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I really like it. Again, if you want just a blurb of it, like if you just want like little trials, check out The Takeover, check out Mosquitoes. Mostly check out Mosquitoes, which is my favorite one. But then there's also Dangerous Environment, which is like the first single, right? Yeah,
that's the one that I kind of decided to release as a single. We should be getting a little radio edit of it out soon. I don't know. I mean, nowadays. Yeah, right? You got to watch your mouth if you really want to be on like mainstream shit. And to be honest with you, I don't really care for mainstream shit.
To be honest, you don't curse that much. I think that's my influence. I am the cursor.
For me, in a song, it's like it doesn't have to be there, but if it makes sense to be there,
like a sentence enhancer.
Yeah, and that's really what it is mostly sentence enhancers. I mean, some people like to be dirty just to be dirty, and that's cool. It's also sort of like the movies we watch. Some of them are just over the top and gory just to be gory and just like shock you, and that's cool, But anyways, the point of it is that the whole album's out. There will probably be a radio edit for those people that don't want to hear the word fuck. But yeah, other than that, I've got still some videos that I need to be finishing up and putting out in the works. And
you're busy man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's about it. I don't know. I think I'm out of updates at the moment. So
you mentioned dirty for the sake of dirty.
Yeah.
And I just want to rant for a second, as I do, as I want to do. Wet ass pussy.
Okay.
So we were talking about this the other day, and I just want to touch on it a little bit. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, who, by the way, is fucking gorgeous. Like, I'll ride that stallion. Do you ride with? No. I mean, does that make sense? I don't know. Leave it in. They have the song WAP, W-A-P, Wet Ass Pussy. And it's not about a kitten drowning, thankfully. It's about a woman coming into her sexuality or owning her sexuality. And we talked about it because there are a lot of people attacking them. Even like one, I don't know what, he was a senator, congressman, I don't know what it was, but he was like, I accidentally listened to it. Yeah, bitch, you accidentally listened to it. who was condemning it, saying it's too vulgar. But all our lives, we've had male-dominated music, right? And they always talk about how many chicks they're fucking, running trains, all this shit.
Okay, you have to put it into a category, though. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to be the person on the opposing side, but we're talking about. No, but I know. But you have done. You're saying men making songs. That's a very.
No. I'm not saying men only make songs. That's incorrect. That would be incorrect because we have amazing women songwriters.
No.
Singers,
I understand, but what
producers.
I'm talking about is the people that you're speaking about, and the examples are a specific type of song and a specific type of artist who makes a specific type of music. Because, I mean, there's plenty rap songs that don't talk about that. And there's also plenty other songs that aren't rap that have nothing to do with being vulgar.
There are also, Will Smith doesn't have to rap to sell records, but I do. So fuck him and fuck you too.
Right, curse to sell records, right.
But I just want to say this. I'm not saying that men shouldn't curse and stuff in their songs. I don't give a shit, obviously, right? Because that's, who the fuck cares? But I feel like people should stop trying to make artists responsible for the upbringing of their children. Yeah. That was the part that I was trying to get to.
That's the bigger part.
That's the bigger part. That's what I wanted to get to. It's not about men doing this, women doing this. It's not it. Like, let a woman own her sexuality. I love that this song is out. I love the song. Maybe because more of the symbolism versus the actual song, but the song's pretty good. You haven't listened to it yet, right?
Yeah.
But the point that stuck to me was, if you don't want your children exposed to it, don't fucking listen to it around them.
Yeah.
And it goes back, and I know that there's some parents who are like, well, I don't want to have to, how do I say this? It's inevitable. Yeah. Everything's inevitable. My kids know how to curse because I have a dirty ass mouth and they go to public school. Of course they curse, but they know that they're not allowed to curse outside the house. They're not allowed, like originally they weren't allowed to curse except for sporting events. You know what I mean?
I think that
parent your children.
Right. I think that you're right that there shouldn't be, the seesaw, the scale of it, the scale of it should be equal.
I mean, you weren't wrong.
The men people, man, I'm all flustered right now.
You want some more coffee?
No.
What I'm trying to say is that
a lot of the mainstream people did not accept even the men who did that. Although, yes, I'll be honest with you. I mean, this goes along with even the movies that we watch. A lot of the 80s movies, including some that we watched recently, are very gratuitous in the nudity and the sex and all that. It's because mainly men were making the movies and they wanted to get boys and other people into the movie theaters. And how do you do that? You show a nice pair of tits on screen.
I mean, they're not wrong.
But the thing is that we're talking about like a mainstream versus underground. We're talking about like people who are trying to live a conservative, uppity lifestyle, who say, for example, in their own life that they don't curse or that they're very like above other people that are like dirty and vulgar. And
there's nothing wrong with them existing. There's nothing wrong with them raising their children that way. But don't put the responsibility for your children's moral compass on artists. Sure. I'm not even going to say entertainers. Yes, they entertain you, but they're artists. They craft their passions, so just don't make it that.
Right.
And it reminded me of, the reason I brought it up also was because I was in the shower and I was thinking about this. When I was in 5th grade, there was a boy named Nathan and a boy named Henry in our classroom. Henry was the bully and Nathan was like the cool whatever guy, right? Who sat next to me. And he was writing. And he was writing up lyrics. And the teacher, Miss Mitchell, did I tell you about the teacher threatened to hit me with a hammer?
Well, that was her. Okay.
She caught him writing lyrics, and she's like, "Well, now you're going to have to perform it." And so Henry, to back up Nathan, had to sing it in front of the classroom. Guess what song they sang?
It ain't no fun if the homies can't have none.
Worse.
What? Hood rat, hoochie mama. She ain't nothing but a hoochie mama.
Freak Me Baby by Silk.
Okay. Which one was that again?
Let Me Lick You Up and Down.
Let Me Lick You Up and Down, right.
And it was hilarious to us, but understandably, some of the kids there probably hadn't heard the song, and they're like, what the hell are they talking about, right? Mm-hmm. right? Obviously. So the kids are going to get exposed to it. But it's your responsibility as a parent to set them up for success in those scenarios.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
I'm just saying that I think that, sure, Cardi B and Megan, whatever her name is getting
Megan Thee Stallion.
They're getting ridiculed for it now. And yes, they're women, so they're getting some more backlash, even though men have gotten away with it. But at the time, though, too, and throughout history, even the men that did it also were ridiculed. Nobody embraced it full on. What we're saying is that there should be some sort of embrace because it's art, and you shouldn't have censorship over art. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So
Correct. Nobody's out there putting, fig leaves over, ancient sculptures.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that.
The one thing, though, that I do feel, and this isn't to the artists, I'm saying it's basically to the marketing teams, that a lot of the songs nowadays that are very raunchy and vulgar are still somewhat marketed towards the youth or kids. Mm-hmm. And even though I'm saying there shouldn't be censorship, there still needs to be some sort of level
Parents need to be able to parent their kids.
But most parents are not, even though they say they are, they're not that good.
Well, then that's their problem.
Right. But they're not going to sit there and blame themselves, even though they should. They're going to blame everybody else in society. And they're going to blame the artist first and foremost. It's almost like when Columbine happened, people were blaming Eminem and Marilyn Manson, all that. And I mean, it's not the artists that when Mortal Kombat came out, they were blaming that game for being influence on kids to do violent stuff.
I mean, ever since that game, I've been uppercutting people into the next dimension.
So all I'm saying is you're right. There shouldn't be censorship over art. And these girls are getting in the hot seat right now. They chose to make the song. They knew what they were up against. It's just that there are a lot of 6 to 10-year-old girls who are also getting into this without even realizing or knowing what it is. And maybe some of them are maybe it is influencing some of these kids to be a little bit more raunchy before they should be. We all have to admit that when it comes to drugs and alcohol and sex and all these things, that there should be an age where you can come into yourself and become able to blossom. And if you're below that age, I mean, nobody really wants, a 10, 12-year-old to be like, I'm smoking weed, bitch, and all that.
Right. That said, the murder kids are outside, twerking and shit.
But that's what I'm saying. As an adult male, that's not something I'm into, but I also don't want to walk out my front door and have to see that shit. But that's what the problem is the parents aren't, really whatever.
So I mean, ultimately it's, parents need to parent their children and stop trying to force artists to raise their children.
Going back to this podcast being movies, that's why there's a rating system. None of those movies that are that bad
there's a rating system for music as well.
Yeah, but it's not enforced by either people or whatever. But when you want to go to a movie theater, you have to be 18 and up to get in unless you're sneaking in.
When you want to buy an album,
yeah, sure.
You have to. Okay, so
but
I have 2 kids. Both of them always have had the restrictions on their phone as soon as they got their phones. And my kids, because of issues with, baby daddy, they have had their own phones for a very young age, too young, honestly. But because, whatever reasons, they've always had parental controls. When they wanted to listen to music, it's always age appropriate or it's radio edits or whatever it is. And that's what it was. It wasn't until they hit a certain age where I'm like, I'm trusting you. Here are the keys. But my kids are different. My kids, they understand, being respectful. They understand. There are certain things that, yes, we joke around the house and curse in the house all the time, but they're not allowed to do that outside because you have to respect other people. We say, fucking Jesus, we pretend to hail Satan all the time. But, we know not to do certain things outside of our ridiculous household.
Right. Anyways, I think we're talking a little bit too long on this topic because
I do want to say about the song. I find that the song's super empowering. And I like that they're taking back, it's there's some hoes in this house. They're taking that and they're owning it. And I find that to be beautiful. And they just, the whole video is just strong women just sharing what they like. I like this. I like that. I like this not so much,
Sure.
and it takes women a long time sometimes to figure out what they like and don't like, especially if they've been if they're survivors of abuse at some stage, it takes almost a lifetime to figure out what a woman actually wants sexually and what they think they want based on things that have been, forced upon them or society has forced upon them. So I find it to be very important, this song, or just the idea of this song, because of the simple fact that a woman coming into her own, a young woman coming into her own can say, I can make decisions based on what I like and what I don't like, not all these other reasons. For myself specifically, it took me a long time to understand what I want sexually versus what was forced on me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I find that to be very important, and I love that there's something out there that says, and I know this is like a new age because there's things on the internet and stuff, right? There's porn, whatever. But there's the ability to really find your own space within yourself and get to know yourself and figure yourself out. And that is a very powerful step. A lot of women don't get the chance to do that. So I'm hoping that men can understand, or that you can understand, just one person can understand that this song's important for those reasons.
That's fine. I can understand that, but I probably would hate the song if I heard it, because as a musician, I don't think that they're that great. I think that Cardi B is lower fifth. She's not a great fucking lyricist and a rapper like everybody says. She has a niche and it works for her, and that's great. There's other people that have done that in the past, but her mentality, the way she speaks, whatever, it's not my cup of tea, and that's fine. Everybody
she doesn't
else,
have to be.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, I happen to enjoy her music. I can only name maybe like 4 or 5 songs, but
yeah, well,
I happen to enjoy her music. It is a niche, just like our podcast is.
Sure.
Only certain people
the thing
like
is,
this.
Will it stand the test of time? That's I can tell you from what I see, it most likely won't, and that's just what my opinion is. I get that, but there's many songs.
I wonder if people said that about Nancy Sinatra and Donna Summer and Madonna and Anita Howard.
If people are still playing that stuff on the radio 10, 15 years from now, or not even on the radio, but within their playlists and all that, then, okay, the proof is in the pudding. The thing is, the proof in the pudding with most rap artists that are even super popular, such as Lil Wayne, Drake, and all these other guys, whatever, is that you listen to their song for a month or 2 or 3, and then you move on, and they keep putting out expendable songs. It's like fast food menu versus going to a gourmet restaurant. You go to a gourmet restaurant or something, you eat a meal that's fantastic. You'll think about it years later and be like, whoa, remember when we went to that restaurant? You're not going to be like, oh, remember when we went to McDonald's that day and got that fucking 99-cent burger? Man, that was the best. I don't
know. I've had some good memories in McDonald's like at 3 a.m.
Well, there you go. That's what it is. All I'm saying is that from my personal musical level and what I see, it's not that interesting to me what they're putting out. The subject matter, fine, and I'm totally all for not censoring artists. And sure, that song's going to do great in the strip clubs when they open back up again. But it's not my cup of tea, and that's just my personal opinion.
Well, luckily, I drink coffee.
Cool.
I used to say, I like my men like I like my coffee. I don't drink coffee. And then I started drinking coffee. So
okay.
Now it's ground up and in the freezer.
So you want to tell me about this movie, Braid? We're watching?
So we watched Braid, and let me tell you, you have to watch it. Like, no matter what we say, you have to watch it. It's insane.
Well, we're going to have a little bit of a difference of opinion on this movie as well. So
okay.
That's
so
okay.
The movie is called
That's what
Braid.
It's all about. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. And people should be able to get along and talk amongst themselves and conversate and view.
Conversate is not a word.
Whatever. I don't care.
Converse.
Fine. They need to converse amongst themselves and have civil conversations on why one person has one view and another person has another view. Simple as that. And this movie, to me, was...
Did it suck?
It was visually intriguing. There were some parts of it that were okay, but... And then at the end, when I did sort of figure out where it was going, I get it. But there was some parts that just didn't really hit home for me. But go ahead, let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
Braid Well, in Spanish, it's trenza, which I think it's beautiful.
This is Spanish? Oh,
no, it's not.
You're just like, I'm just going to get my Spanish in there.
I mean, I have to be Spanish. It's from 2007. I'm sorry, 2018. Whoa. Mm-hmm. Café Cubano? I had four espressos. 4?
Wow. Wired, huh?
A little bit.
All right,
let's do this. And it is, sorry, I'm going to have my phone out. It is directed by Mitzi Peirone. Mm-hmm. She wrote and directed it. And it stars Madeline Brewer, Imogen Waterhouse. I like that name, Imogen.
Do you know any of these girls?
Not personally. And Sarah Hay. And they play, we'll get into it. And the movie is about... The movie is about mental health.
Okay.
Which is the scariest thing of them all.
Okay.
As you know, if you avidly listen to our podcast, we talk about the psychology behind the more trippy movies, and we will do that tonight, motherfuckers.
Yeah, there's a mental health aspect for sure. There's a lot of little things in this movie that I don't know. I you have to take the lead here because honestly, I don't think it again hit me that much, and maybe it's just because again there's certain things that I just felt like weren't very relatable to me, possibly because it was written by a woman. Not trying to say that's the reason why, but possibly why.
Did you hear my response?
Yeah, I hear it, but I'm gonna say what I say. So the movie starts off with these girls doing drugs, which that I'm all on board with.
So the movie starts like this. Yeah. There is a clearing in the woods and a grave being dug. And there are 3 girl bodies being buried by these other 3 women. Yes. And the 3 girls, they're like, I don't know, at least like 20-year-olds. And they're holding each other, but very much looking dead. They're holding each other and getting covered with dirt. They're dead and buried. You don't know that song?
No.
Oh, right. And that's just the intro. And, you're getting, it's like the opening credits and stuff. But then it goes into, and now this is in Canada, right?
I don't know.
It's set in Canada, I think.
I don't know. I didn't catch the setting. But it did seem like they were speaking English, but
they said Montreal at some point.
Oh, did they?
Train. Okay, so then there's 2 girls. There's
I don't know, Petula and Tilda.
And Tilda. Now Petula is a blonde. She is the more assertive, and then Tilda is the one that's kind of just
the ginger.
She's the ginger, and she's kind of just meek and being taken care of, very much a child, but they're again in their 20s, and they're in this crack den, and they are counting out their their drugs that they're going to sell that apparently was fronted, and they figure out, oh, it's going to come out to like $80,000, $82,000 or something like that, and then suddenly it gets raided, the place gets raided, and they make a break for it, and they get away. Now.
See, I already have issues with that scene. I just didn't tell you yet because I was saving it for the podcast.
Give it to me.
Well, again,
let it be noted that I'm switching over to wine.
Probably written, this doesn't have to do with the fact that she's a woman, but probably written from someone who's never been in a raid before because those girls just snuck out the back window and took off, right? Anybody who knows anything about raids knows that the first thing that the cops do, they surround the area and the perimeter. You're not getting out a window. You're not getting out of there. They were banging on the door. Let us open the door now, whatever. We're giving you to the count of 3 or whatever they say. And the girls get to jump out the back window and make it away. Not exactly how it would have gone down in real life. But okay, this is movie. It's a fantasy. So let's say they get away. And next thing you know, they're on a train. And they're trying to go somewhere. I don't know. They're in whatever their destination is. They've jumped on a train. They also have no tickets, from what we find out.
Right. So, okay, they get away. And I'll touch on that
Hold on. Okay, fine. Go
Continue.
ahead. Well,
Continue.
they do, so the first thing is one of them goes to the bathroom or something, and she's on the phone or something like that, and the
With
ticket.
Coco.
Yeah, with Coco, the drug dealer. But the ticket guy sees her go to the bathroom, so he's like already.
But he recognizes her.
Right, he recognizes her. So now he recognizes her. Long story short, he goes in and makes a deal with her, but like. It's this whole dominatrix thing. So she must have been like a cam girl or something like that does like...
Okay, so you have a lot of big feelings here. So hold on. Hold on a second. Whoa. The girls get away, yes. They get on the phone with Coco, the guy who fronted them the drugs, and he's given them 48 hours to get their money, to get his money. Even though he said that not Tilda, Petula has already stated that they had to leave everything behind and they miraculously got away. They even admit that they miraculously got away. Now, they get on a train because they're heading over to Daphne. Daphne? Daphne.
Oh, that's her name. Daphne. Yeah, I thought you were telling me like what city they're going to.
They're going to Daphne,
Yeah, they're going
Canada.
to Daphne's house.
Now, okay, wait. 1 second, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. They get on the train and there are... a few other passengers there. Petula is in the restroom or heading to the restroom, but Tilda is sitting there by herself, very childlike. A woman tries to sit next to her. She pickpockets her, unafraid of consequences. At some point, some man is staring at her and she kind of pretends to flirt with him and then gives him a, what are you doing kind of thing. And those things they are important for later. So that's only I'm noting them. As Petula is heading to the bathroom, the train, whatever the ticket collector recognizes her and follows her into the bathroom where she had been talking to Coco. She talks to Coco and that's where he gets all information. Anyway, when they do make a deal, he calls her, you're Mrs. Whatever. And then she goes, I'll give you 20 minutes or something like that. They figure out a time because it's going to cost $80 for both of them to get to where they were going.
Well, you kind of feel like that this guy's going to be he's going to basically get one over on the girls, like, oh, well, it's going to cost you double because there's two of you. In reality, he's licking her boot or whatever the fuck it is. Like, so she's not going to lose out on that. She's in the upper hand. There's no harm done there. It's a pathetic pussy-ass man who's on his knees licking the girl's shoes. Like, it's not like he's... But some people are into
it, so no judgment.
Okay, whatever.
I like boots, but I don't like to lick them, but you know.
It's just saying, like, the scene was almost set up like this guy's going to say, like, haha, you got to give me an extra blow job for your friend, too. And she was like going to have to do something that she didn't want to, something disgusting. Reality, she still had the upper hand. So again,
right. So it ends up she's like a dominatrix cam girl,
yeah,
right?
Probably, yeah.
So they make it to their destination. The plan is they're going to go to Daphne's house, who is their mentally unstable friend who has a fortune. And what they're going to try to do is they're going to find her safe, rob her to pay back Coco, and then make a break for it. Now, when they leave, they get out of the train station, they run into this homeless man that tells Petula, you always keep coming back, you witch. That's important for later.
Yeah, that was important. I didn't catch that part right there because the guy kind of looked like Otis from...
I know. I was more distracted.
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Are you Otis?
Yeah, he kind of looked like him, but then not really. But
you know what? It was like the brow and the nose was very Otis-like.
Yeah.
Let's see.
They did, I think, at one point in time before we got to this point in the movie, show a scene of the girls when they were younger, right? The three girls in a treehouse playing some, or did that not happen yet?
I don't know. I'm gonna go just broad strokes because I only saw the movie once last night, and I haven't actually done too much research into it. But I do have. It is a fucked up movie, so I do want to talk about it and make sure that we talk about it soon.
Well, we do at least establish some sort of relationship between the girls, and that's who this Daphne is.
So the girls the girls grew up together.
They play this game where there's rules. There's, and
first rule is you do not talk about Fight Club.
Yeah. Second rule is you don't talk about Fight Club. So go ahead.
They're going to go to Daphne's house, but in order to kind of to be able to break into the safe, they have to play her game because she's a little mentally unstable. Her grandparents just died and she doesn't have a caretaker yet. So they're seizing the moment on that, right? So they have a game. We don't know what the game is. All we know is they change into this other style clothing, a little bit more.
A
little bit more.
One is very dressed like a man or very manly because they're playing. They're playing the doctor,
and then the one's dressed up like a little girl.
Right?
Now the rules are.
The first rule. Well, you probably have to find them.
Yeah,
I think the first rule is everybody must play.
Yeah, everybody must play. Let's see. Hold on.
And the second rule is no outsiders or something, and I don't know. We'll have to get to the third rule. Just Google Braid movie rules. You're gonna get like a fan page. Braid movie rules.
So yeah, there are rules, but then there are also set figures. Petula is the doctor, but she interestingly enough plays a doctor as a dude, not as a girl.
Right.
Daphne plays the mother, but like she chooses like this 1940s very much like defined gender role, like wife. She's the mother, not the wife, the mother. And then Tilda is the daughter, very bratty, sometimes obedient daughter. Those are the roles they have to play. In fact, when Petula and Tilda get there, they have to hide their phones and anything that's modern. And they hide it in a mailbox.
They like chain it up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like that they did show the girls when they were younger because there was an accident where they threw the other girl out the thing. And that sort of establishes the fact that Daphne is sort of nutsy and not like all there.
Yeah, there is that. But can I just finish this really quick, what I'm saying? Okay. There are the rules. There's everyone has to play, no one leaves, and nobody ever gets out. Those are very important rules, and they are followed throughout the entire movie. We do understand that Daphne, the one who's mentally ill, at some point, with all the flashbacks, she has fallen out of a treehouse that the girls were playing in at some point, and it left her so damaged that she's unable to conceive children.
Right.
Hence her obsession with being the mother.
Right.
So we'll go through the movie, but that's also very important. So write that down. Okay. So yes, Tilda goes in, Petula goes in, and they play this role of, let's just be these people, and without missing a beat. Like Tilda gets in, and they haven't seen her obviously in a while. They haven't seen Daphne in a while. Tilda comes in on her own and says, "Mom, I'm home. I'm hungry." And without missing a beat, she's like, "Okay, let me make you a sandwich." And she makes her the most fucked up peanut butter and jelly sandwich, like all torn, kind of like super childlike, like just
splattered all over the place.
Smashing it together.
Chops it into like 4 triangles.
Which was weird.
Well, the little kids used to eat 4 triangles, no?
Mm.
Well, I don't know. I think some did.
And then afterwards, the doctor, Petula, comes in, and she examines Tilda. Now, when Tilda's reflexes don't, when she uses the reflex hammer, when that doesn't do anything, she gets like a meat tenderizer and smashes her knee in. Mm-hmm. And that's when you're like, whew, these girls are pretty fucking sadistic. And that carries throughout because they do really fucked up shit to one another.
Yeah, well, I was, at this point in time in the movie, without knowing anything else, I was like, if these 2 girls are that badass, whatever, and they know that this other girl's crazy and has a fortune, why don't they just go in and bum rush her and just like beat her with the meat tenderizer?
Because they don't know where the oven is.
Yeah, but if they beat the shit out of her. Yeah, thinking like a true woman over there. Just kidding. That's a joke. It's a joke. It's because you're doing a lot of baking these days.
Right.
I'm saying, though, if they could have just wiped her out, they could just check the whole house up and down. It seems like a place, there's nobody else living there. Nobody else stops by. Like, why go through the process of playing the game when you could just bash her head in and search for the fucking safe without being bothered?
Well, the movie is very bright and the visuals are amazing. The camera work is divine. Like, there's so much like good freakouts for the sake of it being freaky that I enjoyed it anyway. So we go through their whole, the games that they play. At one point, Daphne punishes them for something, and Petula gets like the Joker cuts on her face.
Yeah, well, this is because they've already tried to...
They've tried to run away. Yeah. So at one point, Daphne understands what they want. And so she gives Petula a riddle and says, if you figure this out, you can leave. And so she figures it out. She finds the safe. She takes the money. She goes and gets Tilda, and they run away. And when they get to the road, Daphne hits them with a car. And as punishment, because she said, you can go, but not Tilda. You could leave, because she was trying to take her baby from her, right? That's when Tilda gets her eyes cut open this way, up and down, kind of like a sad clown. And then Petula gets her face ripped open with the... Anyway, so that's freaky. There's also like a trippy scene.
Yeah, well... Before we
thing.
get to that too, though, there is a police officer or a detective of some sort, who is introduced in the flashback, but then also you see that he's older now. He obviously was involved in the case when the girl was pushed out of the tree, but now that he's older, he's still had this like thing where he's been trying to find
Officer
them.
Siegel or something.
Yeah, he's been trying to get a hold of them and find them. I think he has their like mugshots on his refrigerator.
Yeah, and the mugshots that's endangered.
Does it? Yeah, that's strange. But, so you kind of get at least this other character set up where, he's got this longer history with these girls, but he hasn't really been able to solve the case or whatever. So anyways, yes, they start tripping out on, I guess, what they said. Well, first of all, they argue about splitting the stash. And she's like, well, I'm not going to give you all of mine, whatever. And did they say? I think they said it was speed or PCP.
Vicodin at first.
No.
She
thought it was Vicodin.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. Tilda thought it was Vicodin, but the other one says that's not what it is. And
she says it's PCP. It's not actually Vicodin, and that's when they both start tripping out.
Yeah.
That's when we find the rest of the story. That's when we find that the detective had come and tried to question them.
They
question them.
I'm sorry. I wanted to go back to the tripping sequence real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I think the visuals on the tripping scenes were really good, but it was very reminiscent of more hallucinogenic drugs as opposed to PCP, which is more like speed. It's like you'll stay up for weeks or whatever, but you're going to be tweaking out. You're going to be like, it's not so much. I personally have never tried it, but I know that the way they interpreted it was as if it was very hallucinogenic and very vivid and visual. And I question whether or not, again, the writer or director has actually ever experimented with any kind of drugs, because I feel like it was very amateur from the way it was written. It didn't seem like she's ever been in a raid or done drugs. She just used those as parts of her story without actual experience. That's my take on it. That might
be purposeful.
Okay.
And we'll get into that. What is the detective's name?
Siegel.
We find out that Siegel is searching for the girls, and he searches for them specifically at Daphne's house because he questioned the girls when Daphne had her accident. Questioned them without their parents present. And, that's illegal.
Yeah, it's real strange. Again, considering they're not related, so they all would have had separate family members. Maybe, I think one of them has only a grandparent or something like that,
Daphne lives with her grandparents.
Right. But the other two, you got to say that they probably had parents or siblings or a aunt or uncle or somebody else who took care of them or whatever. So it is strange that he's interviewing 3 young girls.
So, yes. And then he goes into the house and he goes into the house to try to find out if Daphne knows anything about the 2 girls, because now not only are they missing, but they're also felons. They're all
fugitives
on the run because of the drug raid. And so he doesn't believe her when she says she's by herself, and he tries to go and search, but Daphne's adamant about a warrant, which is smart. Always make sure they have a warrant.
Yeah. She, for being a crazy person, was actually pretty, she had a good plan of action of how to divert the cop. She was like, oh, fine, and I'll just go, tell the town that the town crazy is at it again or whatever, something like that.
Right. Which is important. So, but in the meantime, Tilda and I keep wanting to call her Svetlana.
It's a very weird name. It reminds me of petals on a flower, I guess.
Petula and Tilda are...
Petula oblongata. I'm just kidding.
Are upstairs.
Yeah.
I'm going on purpose. Are upstairs, but they are bound back to back.
Yeah, this is where they were braided together.
And their hair is braided together and around them and keeping them restrained this whole time.
I thought there was going to be more to that visual. Like, I thought it was a very nice
I think it
scene.
was metaphorical.
It was metaphorical,
because
yeah, for sure.
It was the two girls were braided into each other and Daphne was kind of on the outside. So it could mean lots of different things, which I'll get into. But also, like, watching it the first time, not knowing what the outcome was going to be, was the two girls are very much intertwined and connected, but Daphne's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
That's
again, to do a braid, you need like 3 strands or 3 ropes or 3 women. I think that, again, that was a good visual metaphor for the movie. I do like, again, the title of the movie being Braid, because it is about 3 women and their lives are intertwined. So that's a very, that part of it was pretty cool. So
anyway, they kill the detective.
Oh, wow, we're already there, right. Yeah, detective went left,
so
comes back.
At some point, the homeless man that was outside the train station reports that he's seen the girls, he's specifically Petula, and he's seen them get into a car on whatever day, and that was the taxi that they saw, going to Daphne's. And that's when the detective decides he's going to go and search the house one way or the other. But meanwhile, Daphne has decided that she is kicking the girls out because she needs to make room for her baby, because she's crazy.
Yeah, she's crazy. She thinks she's going to conceive.
She thinks she's going to conceive.
Well, there was a little lesbo scene earlier, which is why she thinks she can conceive, because she had sex with
a lot of nudity.
Doctor.
Yeah, so the doctor suppostly fucked her, but they're both women. Supposedly she got pregnant. Anyway.
There's no nudity in this movie, technically.
This movie, so Tilda starts attacking Daphne, saying, "Hey, you're fucking crazy. You can't have a baby. Who would give you a baby? Who's the father even?" And that's when Daphne goes, "It's doctor," but that would have been Petula. So my whole time, I'm like, oh my God, is her physician raping her this whole time? And I thought it was going to go that way, right? But that's when Petula gets up and she's like, I'm the doctor. I have to talk to you about...
She plays along with it.
Yeah, she plays along and says, we have to take care of this baby because you're not going to be able to... So there's like this whole miscarriage scene. So that way Daphne can handle not actually having been pregnant. And meanwhile, Tilda's like, what the hell? And so anyway, they go through this operation room scene, whatever. And
it looks like that. Aren't the 2 girls going to
the girls
take
are going
her out?
to... No, it looked like the girls were going to pretend to perform an abortion on Daphne.
Okay.
That's when the detective comes in and starts to arrest the girls. And the mistake he made, I think this is when I said, I know what happens in the movie. The mistake he made was he turned his back on Daphne.
Yeah.
She then stabs him. She and Tilda snap and they just bludgeon him to death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Petula is like taken so far aback she can't even move. She has no idea why they're doing that.
Well, she's not involved in it.
She did not do anything.
Right, yeah.
She just cowered there because she was freaked out. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I think there was... Yeah, it was a very big bloody mess right there. Mm-hmm. They beat the shit out of him pretty badly. And then they have this real... they basically go bury him in that same little spot where the opening of the movie is. It looks like he's in bags, though. Did you notice that?
I know. They cut him in 3 different bags.
Yeah.
They each had a bag of detective. And they bury him in that opening scene, but instead of it being 3 girls, It was 3 bags of parts
body
of the detective, Detective Siegel.
Yep.
They also have to get rid of his car. And at this time, now Daphne's all badass, smoking cigarettes, covered in blood. Tilda's all on board with Daphne now. And Petula's like, what the fuck? They have to ditch the car. They throw it in the river. But
yeah, I was like thinking at that point in time, like, what would they have done if the car didn't go all the way in the It wasn't a river. It was like a lake or something.
Like a pond or
But what if it went halfway and just like half a police car is sticking out? Now, I also had something to say about the police car, because the police car to me was dating the movie in a very 1980s, early 90s time zone.
I'm glad you caught that. That's important.
But there were they had cell phones and shit.
Yep.
So I immediately was like, "What? Where are we? Like, what time are we in?" Because it was like a '87 Caprice or something like that. It was a nice box Chevy or something, and I was like, "The cop cars don't look like that anymore. They haven't looked like that for years." So,
though, admittedly, at first when you said that while we were watching the movie, I thought, well, it's probably just a small town.
yeah, but even small towns, like now, if it's a 2019 movie, you know, most small towns.
It's a 2018 movie.
Either way, since 2000 and above, cop cars haven't looked like those box cars like for years.
But that's important.
Okay.
So now Tilda and Daphne are fully into this scene. Petula kind of is going back into it. She's definitely taking on the masculine role of the doctor. She's definitely, you know, it's the mother, the doctor, and the daughter. And they're living their life in this mansion. However, Petula keeps getting flashes of, you know, trying to leave. And, you know, during the trip out scene of the PCP trip out scene, there was a portion of that scene where she's like running through the house and opens a door and somebody cigarette burns her arm, right?
Yeah.
So that comes in, that kind of comes in at one point when she's like wakes up in the garden where everybody had been before and cannot find wakes up and cannot find anybody. And that's when she supposedly sees the detective coming at her, but he was like burned. And it was just, I guess, a figment of imagination because they cut him up and buried him. But then that's when Tilda and Daphne come up to Petula and say and say, "Ha, you found us!" But really,
did you feel that?
No,
I felt like it was like a shake, maybe like a little earth tremor. I don't know. You know this land better than me, but I felt like that was like a little.
You didn't fart?
No, the whole couch felt like it just shook to me.
Did I do this?
I don't know. Was that like a jump scare where the cop came out?
That was a jump scare.
Yeah.
But so Tilda and Daphne say something that I thought was very important. And they said they were only hiding because sometimes they really just want somebody to be looking for them.
Okay.
And that's also important.
Yeah.
But this is when Petula's trying to come right back out of it. And she's like, we got to get out of here. Like, what's going on? Like, what the fuck? She sees that in the mailbox, the phones aren't there anymore. It's open. It's wide open. And inside of it, even, it's the little keychain that the detective had on his keyring.
Yeah.
And so she goes inside and she's like going crazy. She's looking and looking and looking for some kind of answer to something. She finds a diary, and that's Daphne's diary. And it's going line by line of their whole journey. And like everything, like the train scene and everything. And that's when we understand what the movie is.
Yeah. So there's a clear part in the movie where you see, like you said, Daphne and other one, Tilda, are now basically their bond has become more, and Petula is the one on the outside. Whereas in the beginning of the movie, you think that Petula is really the one in control. She's the one who's like, fuck this, we got to do this. You know, she's the mistress. She's the, you know, all these little things that seems like she's the powerful one. And the movie starts to turn now where she's really sort of like the victim, I guess, maybe in a way.
Yeah, I would say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say something like that. Okay, so this is what we find out. We find out that, yes, it's all been a game, but not just the house part, but everything has been a game. Specifically, the game is Tilda and Petula go out into the world every time that Petula tries to run away. So they create this bad existence somewhere else so that they have to come back to Daphne's house to feel safe. They feel safe, and then they go through this whole thing. They kill themselves, and then it starts all over again.
Yeah.
And that's what the movie is. It's like, what? So, and that's what they've been doing. So Petula is like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Daphne goes, check your arm. Oh no, Tilda goes, check your arms. And she has like maybe 10 on each arm of those cigarette burns. And they said, every time, you get one every time you run away.
Yeah. So
here's what it is. Tilda has to go out with Petula every time she feels the need to run away. And she has to create some kind of bad life for them so that they have to come back to Daphne's house to feel safe or to get help or to something. And they punish her by burning her arm. Right? But they have to play the entire game.
Right. Yeah. So really, we open up the movie where we think that Daphne is sort of the loony one, the one who got injured and isn't mentally all there. But then at the end of the movie, we're starting to realize that it's not her so much, it's Petula. And I started saying, hey, this is probably one of those movies where you always like to say, what if it's all in their head? And that's when it wasn't necessarily all in one person's head, but maybe it was, you know? Like this whole Coco guy, they were like, have you ever seen Coco before? She goes, no. And the words that she started saying while she was on the phone was like something
Turns out she was on the phone with Tilda.
Yeah, and then she could repeat her lines word for word because she's probably said this a million times before. And so now you start to see the shift in the movie where it's basically Petula who's the crazy one and not necessarily Daphne or Tilda. And they're sort of playing this game, I guess, with her as opposed to the other way around. So did they even really ever need the money? Was there even ever any money to begin with?
There's still something else.
What?
They play this game, and yes, they end up killing themselves. Daphne takes poison. Tilda slits her wrists in the tub, and Petula hangs herself in her bedroom. Right? They die.
Why they did that, that's where I start getting confused now.
They die.
Like, I can understand Petula trying to kill herself because she realizes that shit was happening to her. But why the other two kill themselves? And did they really die? Because no one ever
leaves. And then, next thing you know, we see time has passed and they're back at the mansion. And there's an old lady humming Row, Row, Row Your Boat like she's been doing, like Daphne's been doing, or Tilda's been doing throughout the movie. And Tilda walks in, or you just hear the voice, her saying, Mom, I'm home. And then the doorbell rings. That means they have cycled again. And that the death scenes are not actually full death scenes. They're pretend death scenes.
They're pretend or whatever.
So it's
that part confused me.
So it's like they've gone so many times around that now they're elderly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that part that's what confused me a little bit.
So the movie wants you to go away with, it's all a game, and they're just content living it over and over again, playing this cycle because that's what they're doing. Like, that's how in the movie, they do touch on, this is safe, let's be safe here, but something in Petula doesn't want that.
Do you think that Petula actually killed herself and it was just Tilda and Daphne left? Or do you think...
No, because the doorbell rang and that's how the doctor showed up.
Oh, okay, so...
But you want to know what I really think?
Yeah, I definitely do.
In the beginning. Okay, this is what I think happened. Oh, we do also see that the seagull
oh, right.
is
Seagull's
actually
acrylic paint.
Acrylic paint brand. It was Seagull's acrylic paint. And when they're all kind of assimilating to the situation, they're painting in the room. There's a dollhouse. The dollhouse has the little crack dungeon in it. There's a train that continuously goes in a
There's a little toy car for the cop car and stuff like that.
There's a stuffed police doll.
Yeah.
Like everything that they've gone through is inside their playroom. But the Seagull is the name of the watercolor or whatever. Or the acrylic paints or whatever. Okay, so this is what I feel happened.
It was all a dream.
They used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D?
Yeah, on the magazine. Oh, no, wait.
In the limousine.
In the limousine.
Get it straight, Stefan.
Sorry, I'm not
He's
that much
musician.
of a... Yeah, but I'm not much of a Biggie fan. Go ahead.
Biggie, can't you see?
I'm Team Tupac over here, so...
I mean, the East Coast, West Coast wars are long over.
Long over, but Team Tupac all the way.
Did you guys ever have cassettes?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, shut up. Cassettes that were all Crip music, and they were blue cassettes, and then other cassettes that were all blood music, right. And they were red.
We actually didn't have the cassette.
South, so what?
No, so let me tell you, and I did see those. They were not in cassette form when I saw them. When I saw them, they were in CD form.
Fancy.
But they did have in the CD stores like an all Crip album, an all Blood album, and then they actually had one where they were like unified together, where it was Crips and Bloods together.
Was it purple?
No, but
because equal amounts of red and equal amounts of blue. Food coloring does not equal. It equals cement gray.
Yeah. I never bought the albums, but I was always fascinated by them when I would go to like Best Buy or the music really stores.
Pretty. I remember my friend who's now a reverend or a minister now.
Used to be a Crip.
Look, he's like, we grew up together. Like we went up to Audubon Middle School together. Like we went middle school, high school. We went high school in the bougie side of town, but middle school in the hood. And we've had different paths in our lives, but let me tell you, that man is fucking hilarious. And he doesn't mind that he's a minister and I say fuck all the time.
Well, you can't control what other people say, but...
I think he gets a kick out of it because we're like
because
so
he probably
opposite.
Can't say it right now.
I mean, he probably could.
Everybody can. Sure, of course.
I think he should. I think they're sentence enhancers. And I think that's the reason why I use them so much, because sometimes you just need a really good fuck. But in like a word, I mean, that too. Mm-hmm. Forget it. Anyway, what I was saying was Biggie. No. Okay, what was I saying?
We were talking about the Blood and Crip albums. I didn't know that I never saw them in cassette form, but I could imagine that one would be blue and one would be red. I do also remember in the CDs, there was one where they were unified and it was like they had a bandana where it was like tied together, like half red and half blue. Yeah. I forgot the name of the albums or whatever, but I remember that existed. They were like trying to stop the street war and like unify the Bloods and Crips together.
That was like Magic Johnson and Arsenio Hall rapping during the LA riots, or singing during the LA riots, this song that I cannot find anywhere. And it was chill, be quiet, cool down, don't riot, chill, silencio. And I'm like, okay, where the fuck can I find that? Because I haven't been able to find it. So I haven't actually actively looked.
Yeah,
anyway,
I don't know.
What were we talking about? Braid the movie. Okay, so this is what I think happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When the girls were little, there were 3 girls. Daphne lived with her grandparents, and I believe that they were abusive. Right?
Okay.
And so she either had friends, Petula and Tilda, and they were real girls, or they didn't, and they were always a figment of imagination, because even before the accident, it seemed like they were very cautious around her because she was sick, like in the mind maybe. So I feel that both options are going to lead to the same boat. Okay, so either these girls are a figment of her imagination, or these girls were her friends, and then the accident happened, and then they couldn't play with them anymore. You know what I mean? But this accident left her so traumatized, because not only it's so traumatic to not be able to conceive, it's so traumatic. I had a lot of abuse growing up. We didn't think it would happen. I've had 2 kids, but I've also had, like, no joke, like 6 miscarriages. So it's really hard. It's really hard. So it can be very traumatizing. What I think happened was, if the girls left or whatever, Daphne got stuck in that time frame. That's why the cop car is an old cop car.
Okay.
That's why Siegel, I mean, it's not true, but Siegel. That's why Siegel questioning the 2 girls without, quote unquote, girls without parents or anybody present, couldn't have happened, because those girls would have had to have a parent or guardian, So all of that
So you think that it's very highly likely that this is all?
I think it's all in her head.
Daphne's head.
Either the girls were her friends and they left, or she made them up, because in her playing in the abusive household and I say it's abusive because we do see an interaction with her grandmother and it's not exactly nice. And then those cigarette burns, and we know that the grandmother smoked. You know what I mean?
Cigarette burns were on Petula, not
right, but Petula doesn't actually exist.
Oh, if she doesn't
right.
exist,
so,
okay.
So, she had to make friends within herself in her own area. And in the courtyard, there's this little statue of 3 girls. So she thought 3 girls, that's what friendships are. So she made up 3. She can't have children. So she's like, I need a child. And this is my husband. I mean, this is the doctor. The doctor is somebody she would have held in high esteem, because the doctor's the constant in her life. It may have been the only person in her life that actually cared for her, because her grandparents were abusive. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
So the doctor would have been the one to care for her. The doctor would have the authority or whatever to be able to, really give her that sense of stability, a sense of safety, right? Because the recurring request is safety in the movie. Tilda, when she's getting her reflexes checked, they don't move.
Well,
because she
feels
doesn't
it
exist.
When she gets hit with the
it's because it doesn't exist.
the
So they
meat,
have to go to
tenderizer.
so they have to go to the extreme for it to work. But it's all in her imagination.
Yeah, sure.
She even says that she poisoned her grandparents. She may have poisoned her grandparents because they were abusive. But that explains a lot. That explains why everything is happening in this playroom, right? That explains why the death and whatever, all that could be circulating. You're not going to like this, circulating around her period, really, right? Because she thinks she's pregnant, but then she has to have a miscarriage. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's really what your body does anyway. Like your body, it's pregnant. No, we're not pregnant. Okay, blood.
Yeah.
And so it could just be like counting the cycles of her period.
Maybe.
And that's how she's managing to cope with that.
Yeah.
And then that's also why we see her all the way into her old age, because she doesn't actually kill herself. And that's why the only thing that these girls have to eat is Jello and candy and sweets and sugar. Like that's all they eat the entire movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
maybe you're right.
Sadistic tendencies could have just been memories or some kind of, remembering the traumas from her grandparents, because there's even a part where there's a crib that she's holding Tilda in, but she's locked in. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's all in her head. I think she created this universe to be able to help cope with her cycles. And I feel like either Petula and Tilda existed and then were no longer able to be her friend because of the accident, or she made them up in the first place.
Sure, yeah.
Either way, she's fucked.
I guess it would also explain that crazy Braid scene, because that was very unrealistic for it to happen.
Because and the train. And then also, how did they happen to run away with the clothes that they had to change into to go to Daphne's? And how were they able to get the cab? Like, they would have had to pay it, and they supposedly didn't have any money. And how would Daphne just let them come in? How does she not have a caretaker if she's mentally unstable?
Sure.
How would she maintain a household? How does she get groceries? How does she do anything?
Yeah, I know. There was a lot of things that I was like, wait, what?
So when they had the scene where she was all the girls were coloring inside the playroom, and it had all of the different, clues throughout the movie, it could also just be her being in that mansion still with a caretaker, but just her by herself.
Sure, yeah. It was a pretty big mansion too. Which could
have been an asylum.
Yeah, for one person, it was a really gigantic house.
It could have been an asylum, and that's the 3 rules, right?
You must play.
Everybody must play.
Leave.
Nobody can. Everybody must play. No outsiders, and nobody, and you can't ever leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would make sense to me. Never having been in an asylum, that would make sense to me as understood rules for somebody who is there.
Sure. Yeah, well, actually, probably makes a little bit more sense to me now. Talking about it with you, There were some good parts of the movie. I don't know if it was that scary though.
No, it wasn't scary. There was okay. What I liked about it and what I thought was the horror part of it was the gore, because you do get like really good bloody shots. You get good bludgeoning. You get good disfiguring. You get good suicide scenes. You get good just the sadistic elements of it are all there.
Yeah, it was missing some boobs, but that's also
It's okay. So am I.
probably because it was written by a woman who didn't want to necessarily put out just gratuitous nudity for
you don't
sake
need
of
it.
doing it. No, I know.
think this movie was
but it's fun sometimes.
when I saw I mean stuff
I mean, they were getting it on in a nice little lesbian scene there, you know?
but they were fully clothed.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but it could have and I wonder how she did the doctor they just played scissors games, or did they
well, no, she doesn't know what sex is,
right,
because she's
never had it.
Yeah, she's never had it. That's why she thought that them just kissing was sex.
Right.
I don't know. There was a lot of things that could have been done a little bit differently. My understanding was this was this director's first feature film. So, of course, there's still, learning curve and everything. So I think it was still really good. I think it's worth the watch. I think you're going to trip out, even though now you know the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
I think now you can watch it and be like, oh, I see where that was. I see what she meant here. I see what she meant there. And you'll be able to tie everything together. Like, I want to watch it a second time just to go back and say, okay, here are the lines, and kind of like conspiracy theory board and just do red lines and everything. Like, it's a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, it was
no nudity, no scary monster, no serial killer, but seriously, a good movie.
Yeah, it was better than a lot of the stuff we maybe stumble across and don't even pay attention to wanting to watch. But this one was not something we had, like we said earlier, it wasn't set up. Nobody recommended it to us. We were just browsing through, and I happened to be the one to pick it. You were sort of playing a home decorator on your phone or whatever.
It's called Redecor.
And then I was like, what about this one? And I just pressed play, and I think we were both
pleasantly
surprised. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It was at some points, it was very fear and loathing.
Why so?
Just the tripping out scenes, that they didn't make sense.
See, but to me, fear and loathing got the tripping scenes more accurate. All of their drug scenes were more accurate.
Okay, I don't know any of this, but I'm telling you what it reminded me of, okay? It also reminded me a lot of, it reminded me of Train Spotters, where everything was kind of like extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much like Girl Interrupted when you start looking at it.
I've seen that.
When you start looking at it through the mental health aspect of it, it's very much like, holy shit. Oh, have you ever seen the movie, what's that fucking movie? Sucker Punch?
Maybe, but the thing is, I don't remember a single thing about it.
So Sucker Punch is it's an action movie.
Yeah.
And it's about these girls in an asylum.
Is she wearing like a Catholic school uniform?
So girls are in an asylum, but they escape the reality, and they're kind of like trying to escape like danger and attacking things, and they're super action scenes, but really they're all just almost lobotomized in the movie. It kind of reminded me of that. Like, the adventures you go on in your head. And I think one of the taglines, let me see. Hold on, reset my phone. I think one of the taglines was, no. When you wake up, do your dreams go to sleep? And once after I saw the movie and I saw that, that's when I kind of self-confirmed my theory. Because it's like, it points it right there. It's dreams. These are dreams. This is not reality.
Gotcha. Yeah. Pretty decent movie.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out. It probably will be worth the watch.
Absolutely.
At least once. Again, better than some of the other stuff that's out. I don't know. We like different movies at different times for different things, which is what it's all about. This one happened to hit. It was a good hit for us at that moment because we needed something to watch. We
needed something different for sure.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love, senseless violence and gore in movies, but it was nice to see something that was so different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was cool
for sure.
Did you want to say anything else about it, or
go watch it? It's on Amazon Prime
or wherever I
or
found
Shudder,
it.
maybe, I don't know. But check it out.
I don't like
Braid.
necessarily paying for the movies if we don't have to, so I went Amazon Prime, free to me, and then I was browsing somewhere in the free section, and I'm not sure exactly which channel it was on. Maybe Shudder, but maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, check it out. Is this a wrap for this one?
I think we're done.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be watching some maybe older classic 80s horror movies soon, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the 80s are so good for horror.
Well, what it is that we recently watched this 4-hour extravagant documentary of all the best horror movies from just the 80s. So what happened
was, I'm like, let's watch this one movie and then I'll make dinner. And then we had to order pizza.
Well, what was the documentary called? Into the Darkness or something like that?
Into the Darkness. Actually really good.
Yeah.
And there's a part 2 coming out.
Oh, really? It's going to be probably movies of the 90s, maybe?
Well, I hope so, but I think it's more 80s movies.
Okay.
But it was pretty good.
They hit almost all of the best ones in this one. 4 hours long. They went through a lot of them, Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of the horror movies of the 70s were actually, as we've known, because most of the cool ones that we've watched on this podcast are from the 70s. The 80s kind of got a little gimmicky.
And supernatural.
And yeah, but, know.
And they had created like, what's it called? Not universes, but like.
You're talking about sequels, one after another? Yeah. So what's the word you're looking for?
That's what I'm asking you. How do you not know the word I'm looking for?
Well, it's not universes. It's franchises.
Franchises.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 80s were more franchises. Yeah. Well,
although they never came out with a Chopping Mall Part 2.
Thanks.
That's what the 80s.
Yeah, the 90s. Okay, so the 70s for me was more like what man can do to man, and then the 80s were like, oh shit, what is who is hiding there? What's supernatural but kind of man is going to attack me, and in what ridiculous way? And then the 90s were like, so
the 90s horror movies sort of started to lose their
because you kind of did like super meta, like Scream, mm-hmm. And then you also get like Blair Witch in there. And then and you get like these more like supernatural, but also like
a lot of the 90s ones didn't hit home runs, but at that time I think the trend was starting to change. Just like Kung Fu movies, for example. They had their great run, and there's still martial art movies
kidding?
out.
I watch 36 Chambers like whenever I can.
Right. But I mean, they're not played in the movie theaters like they used to be back in the 70s or whatever.
Well, no, because they don't play anything in the movie theaters now.
I heard that AMC is going to be opening up theaters for like 15 cents just to get people in the doors since of this whole COVID outbreak.
No, thank you.
No? You don't miss that movie butter
I do want to do
popcorn?
Beyond Fest because they do drive-ins. I do want to do some drive-ins. Actually, I reserved 4 tickets for a movie on a boat in September, but they haven't announced the movie yet, so we might be seeing something really shitty, which will be really nice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
On a boat?
On a boat. Because it's social distancing,
How? The boat?
So, like, imagine Echo Park
2 people
Lake,
to
right?
a boat?
No, 4.
Okay.
Imagine Echo Park Lake. And those little paddle boats? Mm-hmm. Maybe something like that. I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I'm just like, let me reserve it. It's free. And so I did.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't imagine myself sitting anywhere in a confined space with other people because I know that I can be responsible for myself, but I can't. I don't have the ability to figure out if other people can be, and I don't want to try to have a Karen run in because like life is good right now, and I'm like really hoping that stays good. It will stay good as long as there are no Karens.
Yeah, hopefully.
So I guess that's it for now.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun talking about this movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a happy surprise. Like, good job.
Yeah.
Thanks for picking a good movie.
You're welcome. Can't wait to watch the next one.
Absolutely.
Moving on.
Thank you so much for checking us out. Please be sure to give us a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode. Tell a friend.
Yeah, put the notifications on, comment on.
Do all of that stuff. We are reconfiguring some things, and we're, trying to figure out our scheduling now that things are kind of back to a new normal for us. So things should be good.
I was going to say, send us your recommendations. We're
Absolutely.
always up for it. If you know another one like this that we're missing out on or haven't heard of or forgotten about, please, by all means, remind us, send us an email.
Yeah, absolutely. Our email address is hello@icecreampodcast.com, or you can check out our site, icecreampodcast.com, and, submit a movie there directly. There's also all of our social media. The handles will be in the show notes.
Yes, as always.
Let us know what you like, what you didn't like. If you enjoyed the movie, have you seen Braid? Can you braid? And what movie you'd like to see next.
Yeah, I used to have braids.
I know. That's why I swiped right.
I did it a lot when I was on stage. I felt like that the whole persona that I had, the kind of music I make, it was always about like guys with dreads. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like that was too cliche nowadays. You get like the rap rock group, the new metal stuff, everybody's got dreads. So I was kind of like, well, I'll do the braids. Because I got long hair, might as well do something with it.
Yeah, I like the braids. I'd like to do the braids, but I can't do them on myself.
Yeah.
It's just so hot. Like, I'm actually thinking of like shaving down the sides of my head, at least for the rest of the summer, because it is boiling mad right now.
Oh, wow. That would be interesting to see.
Well, I pull it off because I have so much fucking hair. I can just let it down and none's wiser.
Okay. All right.
Super butch.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the girls like it.
It was a trend. I don't know. You might be missing out on that time for that. I think a lot of people went through that phase and are past it.
It is hot.
The whole Skrillex look.
I don't give a fuck. It is hot right now, and I have so much hair. So much hair. So I gotta do something. I don't want to cut it short because then I feel like I look like Captain Hook.
Captain Hook?
Yeah, like if I cut it here, like, his long... Like
from what?
Wavy hair.
Like Hook?
Peter Pan, the cartoon.
Oh, okay.
The animated Peter Pan. And I always feel like if I cut my hair like that, I would look like Captain Hook. Anyway, catch you next time.
Yeah. See you on the flip side, kids.
Or, adults. Okay,
right.
bye.